New fallout in the case of a sex offender accused of exposing himself at Fairfax County rec centers. New tonight, Democrat Fairfax County Chair Jeff McKay and the county government are pointing the finger at Virginia lawmakers for rejecting a bill that they say could prevent this in the future. But now top Democratic lawmakers are firing back at McKay in interviews with Nick Minock you'll only see on 7 News.
For weeks, 7 News has been pressing Fairfax County Chair Jeff McKay and the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors for answers on what they're going to do to keep women and children safe at county rec centers. 7 News was the first to report that sex offender Richard Cox told rec center staff he was transgender and was allowed to use the women's locker room per the county's policy. Cox then allegedly exposed himself to women and girls in female locker rooms at 3 Fairfax County rec centers, according to the county, witnesses, and police. After 7 News' reporting on Cox, McKay sent his constituents this newsletter that says setting the record straight. In part, McKay wrote the Board of Supervisors supported legislation to extend the prohibitions in place for sex offenders to include local rec centers and park facilities. However, he says the bill that sought to do this did not move forward this year, and it was rejected.
That bill had nothing to do with local park facilities or local recreational facilities.
Democratic State Senate Majority Leader Scott Surville says McKay's newsletter is not accurate.
I don't know why the board feels the need to point at the state. It seems to me a very simple issue. You basically just change the policy on which dressing rooms people can use. And I would think they could simply say that if you're a transgendered person, you have to use the family dressing room instead of one of the either male or the female room. They have that authority. It's not clear to me why they couldn't use that authority to deal with at least part of this situation.
Surville and Democratic Delegate Vivian Watts told me the bill McKay referred to only deals with state parks and not local rec centers and local parks. The legislation failed in the House. The author of the bill represents the Petersburg area, Republican Delegate Kim Taylor.
It created penalties for sex offenders who would go into our state parks and go around playgrounds. It required people to be 100 feet away from children.
In the case of state parks, we still have a problem of identifying what in a 500 acres constitutes the premise. So this is why it didn't move further this year.
Watt says Fairfax County has had 8 years to create a policy to ban sex offenders from their rec centers, pointing to legislation lawmakers passed years ago.
We did it 8 years ago because of our deep concern of exactly the situations that you've described.
When it comes to McKay's newsletter, Democratic State Senator Stella Pekarsky told me the onus is on the Board of Supervisors to take accountability and make use of their power to respond. Pekarsky telling me, quote, "It is my hope that the finger pointing every time there is a problem would stop and necessary actions be taken," end quote. Nick Minock, 7 News.
Nick requested interviews with McKay for this story 3 times, but he did not respond. Now we will let you know if the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors chooses to change their rec center locker room policies. 7 News was the first to report that Cox has visited at least 8 gyms and pools last year in Fairfax and Arlington counties. He allegedly exposed himself to women and girls in women's locker rooms. Right now, Cox faces more than 20 charges in Arlington County. BJ.